Hello and welcome to the, February 25th edition of the Gold Coats and Guns Hour here on YouTube and Periscope. My name's Tom Luongo. I've been pretty much out of it for the last couple of days with a really nasty cold, and it was pretty much touch or go as to whether or not I was going to do this tonight anyway. My energy levels only returned to somewhat close to normal about an hour or two ago. The wife made on the broil for dinner, which was fantastic. I had that with some raw garlic, and, well, I might have a couple of hours worth of energy in me. Regardless, today was too big a news day for me to stay aside, just to stand aside. I couldn't do it. Every time I tried to, just lie on the couch and feel terrible, well, you can see, something else came up. So, it is what it is. I'll do my very best to be coherent tonight, but, you know, beggars can't be choosers, and it is what it is. All right, so let's talk about what's been going on. So for the last couple of days, a couple of things. One, yay meat. Oh my God. I had a couple of hamburgers last night after 24 hours of broth or 48 hours of broth and yogurt, and it was I only had 2 words for anybody at that point. Fuck vegans. But I normally say that anyway. So, I think what's left now is a little bit of a cough. I don't think it's walking pneumonia. At least thankfully I don't think it was. I think I had a chance to become that. I took one of Camille's allergy pills this morning because I had really bad postnasal drip, and I think that was causing the problem to extend this thing, because I thought I had it licked for the most part, but it was kind of trying to linger on, and so yeah, I know I shouldn't really be talking about this. We should be talking geopolitics and the events of the day, but sorry, diarrhea of the mouth, and there's only 20 people in the chat, so we're gonna hang out for a minute. Hold on for a second. All right, so let's get to it. On Friday, I told you that I've got a new paid gig over with moneyandmarkets.com. Go over and check it out. Published my former publisher over at Newsmax, Christian Hill, not the guy who fired me. My first article for them should be coming out in the morning. I'll have a blog post up in the morning as well, riffing off of that one. That should be pretty much a standard kind of weekly thing from here on out. At least let's hope so. As long as I can drive traffic for them, right? Just like everybody else. And that will be definitely market focused. I will be doing more of that on the blog. And it's actually a good thing for me. I need to remind myself that while the geopolitics is nice and all the political maneuvering is nice, at the end of the day, this really all does have to be tied back to major market investment theses, or what the fuck are we doing here? Right, and just to remind everybody who may be new, NSFW, put in your earbuds or sequester your children, because, the live stream, I let it fly. The short news, I try to keep it clean. Here, I let it fly. So I don't expect these to ever be monetized. Let's put it that way. I fully expect these to be not monetized in the near future. So, all right, let's get to it. So let's talk about the events of the day and the 3 big events. And we've had 3 major events today. And the first one was that it wasn't really all that, what's the word I'm looking for? Surprising. It was that Donald Trump extended the trade talk deadline with China. Now, all of you know that I've been saying for months or years, or however long anybody would listen to me, that Trump has no leverage with China. When you are the debtor nation, when you are the one with $22 trillion worth of sovereign debt, and the Chinese have some number of corporate debt or private debt, that at the end of the day, sovereign debt is what will ultimately determine your leverage in trade negotiations. I mean, that's not saying that Trump has no leverage over China. Certainly, the Chinese don't want to get into a trade war with Trump. No one wants to get into a trade war, not just with Trump, but with anybody, because trade wars invariably are, like all wars, they are, at the end of the day, destructive to everyone's capital base, and most especially to everyone's political power bases. Because at the end of the day, politicians only remain in power if they can keep everybody fat and happy enough to allow them to basically reach into their pockets at a level that doesn't cause them to revolt. Now, we've dangerously passed that point relative to iterations of human beings in the past. Martin Armstrong had a blog this afternoon about relative tax rates. He had a couple of socialists yell at him about, wealth inequality, all that. And he just came back and said, look, the Romans in the times past, they dealt with, 1 to 7% taxation, and 7% was enough for them to freaking go into tax revolt. We're dealing with 50% plus here in modern capitalist societies, and the people haven't revolted yet. The takeaway for me was, and Martin kind of missed the point, the takeaway for me is that capitalism has been so unbelievably enriching that the people are willing to give the government half of their earned wealth, half or more, and still not revolt because it's so good at producing the very basics which keep people from revolting. That's that's actually the true measure of how great capitalism is compared to socialism. So, but you'll never get that through the lefties' heads because all they can see is the envy. All they can see is the guy who has too much money and they don't have shit. And they're right that you don't have shit because they stole a portion of that. Of course they stole a portion of it. But I got news for you. You handed them the money. You also handed them the gun to point at you to take your money. And we libertarians try and remind people of this, and they just call us reactionaries and goofballs. Oh, well, we'll be right. We'll be proven right in the end anyway, so it really doesn't fucking matter. And for the conservatives in the audience, you'll eventually get there. It's just a matter of time. It's like the alt-right guys always say to me all the time, eventually you'll get to the point where it's all about Israel, dude. Just give yourself some time. I'm like, no. The difference between a libertarian and an anarchist is about 2 years. And the difference between a conservative and a libertarian, well, that's usually 1 or 2 presidents. All right. I'm absolutely fine with being called a reactionary and a goofball. They do it to me all the time. I've also been called a racist, a sexist, a Marxist. I've been called a Marxist. I've even been called a neoliberal, which I just find really funny. And after a while, I just kind of laugh at it all and go, really? If you actually knew what that term meant, you would understand that I'm exactly the opposite of a neoliberal. But that's okay. It was on a Russian site. They're all lefties anyway. All right, so... vestiges of communism. I'm in high dudgeon even though I don't have any energy, so I don't know how focused this is going to be tonight, guys. Okay, somebody else wants me to be added to my useless LinkedIn network. Is there anything more useless than LinkedIn? I'm just asking for a friend. I mean, even neutered bucks can be slaughtered for meat, no matter how stinky they are. I mean, Jesus, it is the Gold Goats and Guns hour after all. All right, so Trump caved so far on China. He's going to cave more, by the way. It's funny. I watched for the first time in weeks. This is how bored I was during my exile on the couch for the last 2 days. And in the midst of trying to get caught up on all of my DC animated watching, because I'm woefully out of date on certain things. And guys know I'm a huge DC Comics fan. And it's my kind of like guilty pleasure entertainment. I would pop through YouTube and watch various things on YouTube. And I happened to be popping through some of the recommended stuff. And there it was. People who watch Tom Luongo watch. I'm like, okay, well, that's a new category. Let's see that. I mean, there's now a category of people who actually watch me and watch other people. That's interesting. I guess I've arrived somewhere. I'm not sure, if it's just at the end of the fucking street, but it's good enough because it all just was dominated by Styx Hexenhammer. And Styx was going on and on and on about how Trump is winning he's just winning at every level on trade, on this, on that. I'm like, really, dude? So he renegotiates NAFTA and adds the TPP in the back door. He is going to fold to China. Oh, but no, he's doing this was Styx's argument. This was fantastic. Oh no, he's winning by taking little crumbs here and there. And what China doesn't realize that he's winning by taking all these little crumbs from him. And at the end of the day, you wake up one day and all your stuff's gone. I'm like, you just made the I drink your milkshake argument about fucking Trump? Are you delusional or are you just fucking stupid? I mean, seriously. I mean, I don't want to make, the Styx has got his gig and everything. And for the most part, he's usually pretty strong. But Jesus. I mean, come on, dude. It's 2.5 years now. He's not doing the 40 chess thing. He's kind of often, you know, he's just kind of hanging on for dear life here. So, you know, Trump folded this morning, 15 minutes before the futures market opened. That's what I found really funny, by the way. 15 minutes before the Dow futures opened and the S&P futures opened, he announces that he's extending the deadline. Because, of course, he wants to goose the equity markets to, you know, vote positively on his presidency. Because he's just in full re-election mode at this point. He has, you know, that's it. I was talking to Dustin and Halsey the other night. I don't know if you guys saw that, my segment on there. But Dustin just said, look, he's just done with, you know, he's already made it abundantly clear that he's done with all the far right guys, like far right people who've done him no favors whatsoever, you know, like Ann Coulter and Rand Paul, all the ones that actually got him fucking elected. So, well, what Sticks doesn't understand is that you should try the, so Cube Dog says, I should try the no shirt leather jacket look before you knock it. Dude, with the amount of chest hair I have, it would just scare the locals. No. You know, I mean, if, look, no, I won't say it because it would be rude. Oh, when has that ever stopped me before? Look, if the, you know, if skinny heroin addict is your, you know, is this the look you're going for? Go for it. That's not me. You know, I'm kind of, you know, late keto guy. All right. So the Oracle of Tel Aviv will not be reelected. I don't know about that, Bill. Unfortunately, the Democrats are more useless than Trump. And they're more insane than Trump. Let's see. Uh-oh. Cal wants in. Rhea will be happy. Trump ran on Adios America. He should pay Coulter royalties. Oh, I know he should, but, you know, what are you going to do? All right. No, you're not going to see the chest hair. It's just not happening. All right. So he folds on the trade war stuff. Fine. No one expected him not to because China, of course, has all the leverage. And I know that the regulars have been, you know, I know the former regulars, right? If Buckus still actually watches this channel on Periscope, which I have no idea because I told him to stop DMing me because he would just annoy me to all, like he would just dominate my fucking day. I'm like, are you kidding me? You want to do this in public where everybody else can jump into the conversation and not monopolize my fucking time while you don't pay me anything. Okay, so aside from that, if you're still listening, tariffs are a tax on the very people you're trying to save. Period. They send all the wrong pricing signals to all the wrong people. Period. And a trade imbalance is not the worst thing in the world when you run the world's reserve currency. Remember, we design all the shit here in the United States. We build most of the chips here in the United States. We just send them over. It's just a weird scenario in the world today where it's cheaper to have China assemble this shit than it is for us and then send it back to us. And that just shows up in the it just winds up on the trade account balance as opposed to the current account balance. It's like none of it matters. I mean, the capital, it doesn't really matter. It's a current account, capital account, trade account. It's all just accounting. And Trump's been told this stuff and he doesn't care. Trump's been told this by normal people. He's been told this stuff by Larry Kudlow. Guess what? Doesn't care. Why? Because he doesn't listen to Kudlow any more than he listens to anybody else, because he hasn't listened to anybody else in 30 freaking years. All right. Sticks gets his news and perspectives from Slash Poll. Well, that'll tell you everything you need to know. His trade policy is stupid. Well, the problem is, Rocket Man says Trump's trade policy is not one of the aspects of his presidency that I have a strong opinion on. Well, you should. Frankly, and it's the thing that I've been hammering on since the day he was elected, and I got into trouble with the MAGA Ps on in the minute I brought it up, which is that Trump is a mercantilist, and he's going to actually run the mercantilist game plan in the wrong period of time and in the wrong way. The way you improve things is you improve it at home. But when you're in your re-election mode, you just blame everybody else. You blame the Mexicans and the Canadians and the Chinese and the Russians and the Iranians and everybody else. You never blame Americans, because then if you blame Americans, Americans won't vote for you. because we have to be coddled and told that we're the greatest people on the fucking planet. Just like every other group of people in the world. It's just the way it is. Supporting tariffs as an alternative to income and sales tax, but otherwise strangle the government. Again, if the government needs some amount of excise taxes or, import tariffs or whatever to fund basic operations, sure. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about a government that's the biggest organization in the world, spends far more money than the next, 4 governments combined every year. 25% of which we just print out of thin air. $1.2 trillion deficit this year. Well, of course he does. Your 93-year-old retired machinist grandfather likes Trump's trade policies, not an endorsement. Of course he does. Because he's been told that the Japanese stole his jobs, that the Chinese stole his job, that this one stole his job. They've been told all this by politicians like Trump and people before him. When the truth of the matter is that it's the politicians that the thing is that we handed them the power to take those jobs away from us, and then we wondered why it happened. I hate to tell y'all, but all the jobs that you're complaining about that the foreigners stole, you handed them the keys of the car to drive the job overseas. Because you handed it to politicians to safeguard your money, to safeguard your savings, to safeguard to build you roads and to do this and to provide for your defense and all these things and to regulate trade and all this stuff. I got news for you. They did a bad job of it. You know why they did a bad job of it? Because it was always in their best political interest, in their best personal interest to do a bad job for you. But all they did was sell it. That was those guys over there. Because everybody it was like politics is nothing but in-group, out-group bias writ large on a big freaking stage. It's just sad. Trump will be, at this rate, Rocket Man, Trump will be reelected because the Democrats are bonkers insane. So, Australia, I think you're new. If you are, I am Australia. If you are new, cool. By the way, love seeing new people. We are all indispensable exceptionalists. So I'm told every State of the Union address. Exactly. We are all special snowflakes. It's never our fault. Our government is dysfunctional. We all hate it. But every year, someone stands up and says, oh no, it's okay. You're doing great. It's not your fault. It's the other guy's fault. It's the Democrats' fault. It's the Chinese fault. It's the damn dirty Russians' fault. It's the Germans' fault. They won't let you. The reason that Germans won't buy our cars is because of a 10% tariff. No, the reason Germans won't buy our cars is because our cars suck. Okay? That's simple. And that for the last 75 years, we've had import quotas on trucks and everything else, and certainly trucks. Even though, Nissan makes a great truck, but Americans continue to buy crappy Chevy trucks even though they fall apart, when you can't get arrested in a fucking Nissan Titan. Far better truck than a Silverado. Far better truck. Better engine, better suspension, better full box frame, the full box frame, all 9 yards. It's none of this fucking horseshit ladder frame crap. Those things are they're built like tanks. Why? Import quotas. That's why. We've made some good cars here and there. For a while, Ford actually made some decent cars. For a while. What's worse is that we're now even importing the people to do our jobs while we bitch about it, right? While we all just stay on welfare and go to college and stay in, we have to stay in college for another 15 years in order to get a job as a clerk somewhere, or better yet, a bartender. We import everybody on an H-1B visa to, do the actual jobs that need to be done. Because we're all going to be movie stars or, writers or some other you know, great, or YouTubers, I guess, or stars on YouTube. I'm not quite sure what Americans really think at this point. Thank God for Mike Rowe. Mercantilism doesn't work normally, but it doesn't work even more so when Triffin's paradox is in play. Exactly, Alvacaro. Oh God, I know. I've owned multiple German cars, Stoyanovich. I know how hard. I know what a pain in the ass they are. There are a lot of Riva, actually, 4x4, and it was outpaced by a Border Collie on Top Gear. We have to win without relying on political delusions. Yeah, we have to, you know. Look, I rag on Trump on this stuff. Look, it's the truth of the matter is that Germans are never going to buy American cars. I was watching the Grand Tour the other day, and they bought luxury cars in Europe to bring to China. So who brought a BMW? Who brought a Lancia? And then Hammond, or not a Lancia, who brought a Mercedes, who brought a BMW, and then Hammond shows up in a Cadillac, and they're like, how in the fuck did you find a Cadillac in Germany? I know, I will buy a, could you imagine, this is Clarkson, could you imagine the Germans saying, I will buy a Cadillac for a luxury car? No, it was an American, it turned out it was an American general. He bought it up and worked for NATO, of course. And yes, all cars outside of the warranty period are friggin' a pain in the ass. It's not that they can't make a good car, but truth be told, come on. I'm talking about consumer level cars that are being sold in China today. And here's the funny part. So Trump is complaining about the same thing over in China. Part of the reason he's on this trade war thing is that the Chinese won't buy American cars. Like, he just refuses to accept the fact that GM was one of the first ones to put a JV together in China under their badge. And for years, GM was the leading car manufacturer in China up until very recently, up until the Chinese started buying large numbers of cars. The minute they could upgrade to something other than a crap badge, to put it in Jeremy Clarkson speak, they did. And then sales fell off. You know, tremendously. Ford, because they never took a bailout in 2008, retreated from the entire Asian market and can't get back into it, other than Southeast Asia, other than places like Malaysia and Thailand. Australia, right? But, like, there are no Fords in Singapore, right? Because is Buick top sales in China? I didn't think it was. Koreans think U.S. cars are fancy because they're foreign. It's crazy. Well, true. But again, no, an F-150 is not an everyday car in Germany. The Ford Focus is. And they like the Ford Focus. I bought trash bags that said made in America, and half of them were defective. Lisa Pay. I live in Alabama. We make Hyundais. I know. My in-laws are from Southern Ohio, right around the corner from the Honda plant. Right? That was one of the first ones to go in. They make Honda, Mercedes, Hyundai, and soon Toyotas. Yeah. Not Greenville. Chattanooga. Chattanooga's the new Detroit. Right? Subaru's there. Toyota's there, BMW's there, everyone's there. They all want to make cars here in the United States and sell them here. I don't know what Trump's complaining about. The problem is that our guys are getting outcompeted because they suck. They're badly run companies that were protected for decades by trade barriers that we put in place. I wish somebody other than Jeep would make a decent front axle 4x4. Agreed. I have a Nissan Xterra. It's the last body on frame SUV made in the United States, or made around outside of a Jeep. And I just looked at it as, well, it's a Jeep with air conditioning. It's a great car. Love that. Love the 4-liter 6 in that car. It's really unrefined, but I don't give a shit. Goes like stink. Got ass loads of torque. And I can pull everything. Do I have read Eric Peters' car reviews? Absolutely. I know who Eric Peters is. And I'm not a Clover, by the way. Chevys truly start falling apart the minute they're out of warranty. I have a Chevy truck. I actually have a Chevy. I bought it used years ago. It's only got I bought it with 77,000 miles on it. It's always had a weird screeching noise, which I've never been able to identify. No one's been able to identify. I just drive it. Both front bearings had to be replaced now. It's only got 138,000 miles on it. The speed sensors for the for the anti-lock brake system, the speed sensors that help the all-wheel the anti-lock brake system, that went out years ago, and I just had to pull the fuse so I didn't have to spend $2,000 to pull all the speed sensors to figure out which one went bad to put them back in to get the anti-lock brakes to work again. This is on a Chevy Colorado with the inline 5. Most popular version of Chevy Colorado, 4 doors, inline 5, Z71 upgraded suspension, right? Great farm truck. Well, right now for us it's a great second vehicle, meaning it's paid for. And so whatever, I throw money at it every once in a while when I need a new tire, or when the bearings go, or the U-joints, or everything else that's not supposed to go bad on a truck because it's, only got 138,000 miles on it. I got news for you. I had a Toyota pickup truck I built my fucking house with, okay? That truck, no dashboard. This is a 1992 Toyota pickup truck, 2-seater beater. Love that truck. Manual transmission. The T24 engine, the 2.4 liter i4 inline 4, that was the same. It happened to be the same one that they put in the Celica. It just happened to be that they must have had overruns on that production that year, and they stuck one of them in this truck. Oh, it was a beautiful engine. And it got hit in the side, didn't bend the frame. I mean, hit in the side at 30 miles an hour, and I got T-boned right behind. Right above the rear axle. My fault. Only major accident I was ever in. If I didn't have really good reflexes, I'd be dead right now. We wouldn't be having this conversation. Tin box, great truck. I wore out what was left of my clutch building my house. Okay? That thing, I changed the oil in it maybe 2 or 3 times in the, 10 years I owned it. In a former life, I didn't take care of my cars. I had a Toyota. I had a Toyota pickup truck. I didn't have to. I would just pour oil in it every once in a while. I just check the dipstick. Oh, it's a little low. Pour oil in it. Keeps driving. Eventually, it got to the point where if I went above 45 miles an hour, or if I went about 20, and believe me, the tachometer didn't work. The speedometer didn't work. The speedometer kind of worked. Didn't matter. Truck must have had 280,000 miles on it. On the original clutch, which I never changed, because I wasn't going to put money into the clutch for a truck that I didn't drive anymore. Because literally, for the last couple of years we just drove it into town to go pick up hay and then come home, right? So, but I really didn't want to get rid of that truck. I should have just put a clutch in it. No dashboard left. No air conditioning. Oh no, no air conditioning. That point didn't matter. 280,000 miles on the original clutch. Now, of course, if you went above 2,500 RPMs, it would pop out of gear. But why? Because I ran a clutch down 200 that had a service life of 120,000 miles, 280,000 miles. That's why. Okay. I got the shingles to my roof on the roof thanks to that pickup truck, because I would put them in a box and pull them up to the roof with a pulley system. No, that truck wouldn't do it. I'd do it with my Subaru Forester. Can we get back on track about how off track we are as a nation? We could. I told you I was, not going to be very focused tonight. Point being is that I love my Toyota pickup truck, and point being is that thing was a freaking tank, and trust me, far better car than the truck that replaced it. All right. So no shock that Trump folded on trade tariffs. This tariff one. What he's going to wind up doing is he's going to wind up crafting a deal that is much like NAFTA, not much of a deal. He'll get some concessions. China's happy to give him some concessions so he can save face. and send him on his way. And then we're going to get back, and then that too shall pass. The markets are going to love this up until we get back to the all-time high. And then they're going to have to start dealing with reality. And the reality is that we have a problem brewing over in Europe. Manual transmission is the easiest thing in the world once you learn how to do it, because then it just becomes second nature and becomes spinal. It never even reaches your brain, dude. Once you learn how to do something like that, it never reaches your brain. It just hits your spinal column, and that's the end of it. And I miss my manual transmissions. I was the last guy in America to finally go over to the dark side. So the next thing to talk about is what happened today in Brexit. So Jeremy Corbyn finally came out and finally folded to some pressure and said that he would back a second referendum. Now, he's been refusing to do this because we've got this independent group. We've got all these threats of further cabinet defections and the breakdown of the two major parties. And the threat of, excuse me, and the threat of the parties losing influences like that finally got to Corbyn. Corbyn is a coward. He always has been, he always will be. Theresa May, I don't know. We'll see. But I think both Corbyn and May still kind of realize that if there's a way to go to March 29th and walk and end everything, they will. And I really do, kind of believe that. Now, part of me knows that Corbyn hates the EU, right? Almost as much as, Nigel Farage does. Someone said to me this afternoon on Twitter. Theresa May was a Remainer, but I don't think she's a Remainer that was an EU first Remainer like Amber Rudd and Philip Hammond and the rest of them. They're all EU firsters. So the last couple of months, I've been under the perception that Theresa May is trying to run the clock out for a no-deal Brexit because she knows that's the only way Brexit will happen. Because the EU is not going to give her a deal that she wants. Corbyn doesn't want the EU to win here. But at the same time, the question is, do both of them put party before the country? Corbyn just did this afternoon. That Stoyanovich says Brexit will get an extension of 90 days. I don't know why that will matter, other than because then that will allow them enough time to remove Theresa May from power, the Tories, put somebody else in power who will then force through a Remain or a second referendum vote, and they'll get exactly what they want. And at that point, there will be a civil war in the UK, and they're not going to get the vote that they want. I mean, if they go for a second referendum, they're not going to, the establishment's not going to get what they want. They want to stay in the EU. It's not going to happen. And the longer this goes on, see, the thing about it is that I've been saying this on and off. There's so much going on. And sometimes I forget some of my own narratives, right? Some of the own theses that run through all this. What's the most important part here? The most important part is the loss of confidence in the political institutions that make up the EU, UK, the United States, Italy, this place, that place. That's what we're staring at. That's the big problem, right? That's the big problem. Okay. So even if they win this battle, so even if this independent group and Tony Blair and Philip Hammond and all these literal fucking traitors, even if they win the battle, they're going to lose the war. Why? Because they already know that the British people want the referendum honored. Even the people who voted to remain want the referendum to be honored. Exactly, Cube Dog. Exactly what I'm talking about. Martin Armstrong's been saying this for months, that if they destroy Brexit, it will only accelerate the destruction of the UK in its current form. It will only hasten the loss of confidence that everybody has, or patience, with the political class. The political class will have revealed themselves to be completely untrustworthy, to be completely beyond reproach and beyond redemption. And people will just, I'm telling you, there are going to be MPs shot in the streets at some point. Or, you know, this is the UK, so, you know, I don't know, stabbed with a fork or something. My understanding, so Elva Carroll, my understanding is that Parliament would have to vote to not do a hard Brexit on March 29th if there is no deal, even if the EU did grant the 90-day extension. Yeah, something like that. What will also happen, and so Theresa May comes out, and there's a number of different reports coming out of the Tory camp. Okay, Theresa May came out of her meeting in Egypt saying, March 29th, come hell or high water. And then there's at least 3 different articles, none sourced really, out of like the Sun and the Daily Mail and all these other ones, saying, oh no, she's holding a meeting with her cabinet and she's gonna put it to them and she's gonna like give in to them and everything else. Nigel Farage makes the very good point, of course, that why hasn't she sacked all of these traitorous cabinet ministers? If she really wants a Brexit, like she says, why hasn't she fired Amber Rudd and the rest of them? So, if you understand that once that occurs, if Brexit is betrayed, that will likely wind up being your catalyst for the EU sovereign debt crisis. Jabba's soapbox. Yes, this is the UK. We are sharpening our spoons as you speak. We found the spoons. Oh, very good, very good, very good. Reference. Whatever happened to the Popular Front? Who's over there? Splitter! There we go. Same movie. All right. On the spoons up. Sorry. Sometimes I amuse even myself. All right. So how will the powerful banking cartels who run City of London be affected by Brexit? Well, apparently they've all made deals already to make the transition as easy as possible. They've already signed all these. I've got an article from the other day. I still haven't written an article about. Evening Standard, City relief as EU gives no deal green light for clearinghouses. So the clearinghouses have gotten, this is as of 18 February. Europe stepped up to preparations for no-deal Brexit on Monday after giving key parts of the City of London temporary access to EU customers in the event of a cliff-edge departure. European Securities and Market Authority, the EU financial regulators, granted 3 UK-based clearinghouses, LCH, ICE Clear Europe, and LME Clear, licenses to carry on doing business with European-based customers over the next 12 months, even if the politicians fail to strike an agreement. Done. They've already, it's not an issue anymore. None of these things are an issue. So, excuse me. Oh, God. So, why is this such an issue? It's an issue because the people who are making the most money off the current arrangement don't want it to end. They're all Europe integrationists. They do believe in the European Union and the loss of sovereignty. They all open borders, freaking Marxists at the end of the day. And the bankers want, you know, the ability to run all of it behind the scenes. And they don't want to give up the autonomy. And, you know, no one wants to go into the... remain is more convenient for them. Exactly. I mean, at the end of the day, I don't even... I mean, I understand that it's a little more complicated than that. I understand that there's... You know, it would be inconvenient for everybody. I understand that it would be hard at the end of the day to rewrite certain contracts and rewrite, you know, interest rate swaps, and the Europe could get retributive and, you know, try and pull business over to Frankfurt and yada, yada, yada. It's like, you know, come on. At the end of the day, the politicians can bluster and preen and prance and everything else all they want. People like Donald Tusk, you know, can turn their nose up at everything, but at the end of the day, they don't have any real power, and they're very transitory. Oh, and the big U.S. banks are showing signs of 2007 type stress. Mark Bogosian would know. That cough is exhausting. Yes, it is. So I will be leaving in a few minutes, actually. But Stoyanovich asked the questions, why would that be the trigger? The trigger for the sovereign debt crisis is as follows. And it's all conceptual. And so once you like lock this into your head, the rest of it just makes really perfect sense. And I know this hasn't been one of the greatest live streams of all time, but again, sometimes they can't all be good, right? The immortal words of Groucho Marx. A cough is not a goat allergy. Which is the following. When you issue a currency based on debt, which is what we have debt-based fiat currencies. Then everything above that is based on the confidence that the government will be able to pay the coupons on the debt that the currency represents. Okay? It's just like every other, it's just like any other fractional reserve system. As long as everyone has confidence that the bank has enough reserves to cover the deposits, they're solvent. Same thing with the treasury of a country that issues a bunch of currency and they still have to pay coupon payments based on debt. The minute confidence is lost, the currency goes into the shitter, interest rates rise, and everything starts to, and then, you know, and once that begins to happen, then they can't issue more debt, they can't issue more currency. You know, markers have to be called in. The whole system starts to freeze up. Yield curve starts to get weird. The overnight market sees up. Mass hysteria. Dogs and cats live together, and the whole 9 yards. So, what causes a loss of confidence? Political gridlock is one. We have it coming here in the United States. It's already here. Democrats won't give Trump anything. Nothing. Doesn't matter what it is. Could be the most reasonable thing in the world. Hey, I'm going to give you live birth abortions. No. If Trump wanted to overturn Roe v. Wade tomorrow, all he would have to do is like come out in favor of, you know, partial birth abortions. And Nancy Pelosi would immediately start writing talking points to go, you know, to counter it. So at the end of the day, if the British politicians destroy the people's confidence and their ability to do the people's business, then that's going to destroy everyone's confidence that the British government is going to be able to pay its debts, and the whole thing starts to cascade and fall apart. So far worse now than it was under Obama, by the way. Everybody is on the hook for when the European Central Bank starts to fall apart. Okay? I am far better than I was yesterday. Literally at 2 or 3 o'clock this afternoon, I'm like, I ain't doing my fucking live stream tonight. I'm going to go to bed. I feel a lot better. So in some ways, this is just me exercising my lungs and getting some of the stuff and dislodging some of the crap that's in my lungs. It's been settling there for the last couple of days. So this is actually not bad. So don't take the cough the wrong way. It's actually probably healthy. A cup of tea, I'm doing okay. So you got to understand that once that process starts, the whole thing starts to collapse. And no one is going to get out of a European sovereign debt crisis alive. The UK isn't, the United States isn't, China isn't, the emerging markets aren't. Everybody's going to be hit with this. And it's going to jump from Europe. If the UK is independent at that point, it will jump to the UK, it will jump to Japan, it will jump to the United States. The emerging markets are already started blowing up. The whole thing will just spiral out of control, and we're going to have a global sovereign debt crisis. So there it is. And that's what we're staring at. And I don't know how else to put that. And, going all the way back to full circle here, nothing Trump has done will improve. Nothing Trump is doing with the trade war is making that better. Nothing Trump is doing with his $1.2 trillion deficit is any better. You can't blame the Fed by wanting to normalize interest rates so that the fucking pension funds don't gut the fucking country because you want to spend $2 trillion in infrastructure because Obama didn't do it and you want to be the fucking hero. Good news for you. You want to spend $2 trillion in infrastructure, bring the troops home, close all the fucking bases, close all the shit overseas, fire all the fucking neocons, cut the defense budget by $300 billion a year, cut the fucking entitlement funds budgets by $200 billion a year, be fucking hated, and start building some goddamn bridges. And let the ships fall where they fucking may. But you wouldn't do that because you're a fucking pussy. Period. No different than anybody else, you're just Orange Obama. Oh, of course we're all going to get hit, Rio. You can't get away from this. No one was untouched by the 1930s sovereign debt crisis. 1930s sovereign debt crisis was also started in Europe. And it hit everybody. We were somewhat insulated. We were the place that everybody fled to. This time when we fail, it's all going to flee to China. Which is why Trump has ultimately no leverage over the Chinese. Because they understand this. Because they are not morons. All that military spending, regime change, and further deficit spending on every damn thing in the book. And listen to that. And just go back and watch the State of the Union address again. He's going to be handing out money for trannies. He's going to be handing out money for this and handing out money for that. He's just promising everything. He's going to run on Mr. Centrist. He got elected as Mr. Reagan. He still thinks that he was elected because everybody loved Donald Trump. No, you got elected, jackass, because you were not Hillary Clinton. Just like the Democrats got put back in power in 2018 because they were not Republicans. It's definitely extended pretend. It's not going to be for 6 more years, though. That's the only thing I would disagree with you about. 2020 website, you're right. I just don't think it's another 6 years. I think that was 2014, right? 2012, 2014. But now, no. The Fed tried to normalize the balance sheet. They couldn't. Because trannies are totes popular. Exactly. I don't think we're that. I don't think it's there. I think we've reached that moment of political crisis. It's going to create a political crisis in the UK. It's going to cause... Look, all these people who are defecting from the Tories and Labour refuse to stand for by-elections. Okay? That's your big clue that this is all about Brexit. Okay? That's your big clue that they're not serious about anything. They could give a shit about anything else. They just want to stop Brexit. And they don't care. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is helping Trump get reelected every day, every time she opens her mouth. Ragnar Donneskold is our only hope. You're right about that. I'm not much of a Randian, but I do like Atlas Shrugged. Or at least I like Atlas Shrugged up until we meet John Galt. Then it's like, you know, whatever. You're another jackass. I'm a Dagny type. You keep fighting until it's over, and that's that. And maybe you're wrong to do so, but better that than giving up. All right. I don't know that we have anything else here. I don't know that I have any more in me. Don't make me laugh, dude. Don't make me laugh. All right. I'm going to cut it off now. I can feel that I'm running out of steam. You guys take care. I'm going to go pass out. And keep your stick on the ass.